Hi, Palmetto Bay. I am here with Mayor Eugene Flynn, and he's asked me to come over and help out because he has a lot of information regarding Hurricane Andrew and what you can do as Palmetto Bay residents. And I'd like to get really started with that, but tell us, what's going on in your mind and what we need to do to get started with our preparations.
Well, first of all, I want our residents to feel secure in the knowledge that the village is fully prepared. We continue with our preparations, so you need to focus on you and your families, keep them safe, follow what's going on, because we're going to take care of the village around you. We want to do those things that allow you to focus on you and your own families.
Well, good advice. And I just want to say, before we get to the mayor stuff very quickly, I do real estate. That's what I do day in and day out. And I'm actually a resident of Palmetto Bay. And normally I'm thinking about buying and selling homes, but now I'm looking out to you, the residents of Palmetto Bay and surrounding areas, and saying, look, it's time simply to take care of people first. And then right after that, you want to make sure that you can do everything you can to protect your home. The home is where you live. The home is really where your heart is, right? So a couple of quick pieces of advice that you might not be thinking about because you're out there taking care of physical things. I want to talk about paper. Very quickly, in an emergency state, for example, after Irma, it may turn out that the police are only going to allow people onto a street if they live there. That's just one example. Or if you happen to need to file an insurance claim, you're going to need to have documentation to prove that you're who you are and that what you're claiming is correct. So you can do this as early as tonight. Make sure you have all your personal documents together. That is driver's licenses, social security cards, passports, things like that, that will help identify you. And don't leave them in a safe deposit box saying, hey, they're really safe. You're going to potentially need to use them. So they need to be with you at all times and in a watertight and safe place, but right around you that you can use them. Secondly, your insurance papers. Go back and review what your insurance papers say and have them at the ready, because you want to know how to file a claim if you unfortunately need to do so. And most important with all this is, if you're going to make a claim, they're going to likely ask you, hey, what are you claiming, and is that real? So I suggest, with modern technology and smartphones, you go out with your phone in a horizontal position, not your standard vertical video. You want to make it look like a television picture, and open up all the closets in your home, places that you would normally have to open the door, and then with your phone, do a walking tour of your home and point out the more expensive things that are there. And that way, with a 5-minute recording of your home, you're going to be able to identify and document with an insurance company what has really happened to your home, both before and after the storm. And hopefully you don't have to do it at all. Finally, with all the electronics, and we're not at Hurricane Andrew stages anymore where everything was on paper, if you can store this stuff on the cloud somehow, whether that be Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever, please do so, because you never know if your equipment is going to survive, but those documents up on the cloud will. And then finally, just make sure everything is as waterproof and as high as possible in your home. You don't want paper to be down in a lower filing drawer. Get that filing drawer up high. Well, that's what I have to say, and I hope that you can use that advice. But more importantly, we have the mayor here. And Mayor, let's start off with what you just did earlier today, this being Tuesday. There's a document that you have over there. I'd like you to show people what that is and tell me what it really means.
This is a document that we have filed, signed. The manager, Ed Silva, myself, along with our village clerk, we have, in response to the imminent threat of probably one of the strongest storms any of us have ever seen, Hurricane Irma. The village of Palmetto Bay is under a declaration of a local state of emergency. And this is part of our emergency operations plans. We're following suit with the state of Florida, and as you may or should know if you're paying attention, and please continue to monitor events as they occur, our governor has issued a state of emergency for the state of Florida. We are under one in Miami-Dade County, and now we are one in Palmetto Bay. We are part of Miami-Dade County. It is inseparable as part of the emergency operations. We cooperate and work with them. We have members of our village government who will manage and be part of at the local pod of the Emergency Operations Center, where we continue to monitor. And your local officials continue to monitor and make sure we get those resources where they need to be. Again, this is so we're prepared so you can focus on you, your family, your property, and don't forget your pets.
Okay, and so that state of emergency is up to 30 days, and it really puts the government in a different mode, doesn't it?
That's correct. We are in the essential services mode at the present time. Again, we are working with Miami-Dade County. This is a team approach. Miami-Dade County is very engaged right now in getting out and doing the sweeps on picking up piles of debris. I'm going to hit this early and often. Please, now is not the time to go out there and start trimming a tree and creating a pile. They are sweeping through, and if you create a pile, they're not going to necessarily be able to get through again and pick that up, and you're creating potential missiles that's going to harmfully impact your own home or your neighbors' homes or property.
Okay. And as you said, they're going into an essential services mode. What is the government doing besides that locally here? What is the, before the storm approaches, actions of the village? Let's talk about parks and about some meetings that clearly are not as important as preparations at this point.
Rather than tell you what meetings are canceled, let's put it this way. If there's a meeting this week of your Palmetto Bay government, it is canceled.
That's pretty simple. And what about parks and how parks are going to be handled from here on out?
Earlier today, the schools announced that they will be closing as of dismissal on Wednesday. Included in that will be no extracurricular activities after Wednesday. We are following suit. Our parks are not closing. However, there will be no programming in our parks at the end of school tomorrow, Wednesday.
Makes total sense. And then as we get to the actual time where the winds whip up and hopefully we don't have huge destruction, but certainly we're going to feel effects, what is the government going to be doing here and throughout the village?
This is our local emergency operations center. You need to monitor news, your official online sources. Please, if you have any rumors, look for the official information. Don't follow the rumors. Don't go chasing different items out there. We want people to stay safe. If you're going to remain at home and shelter in place, make sure you're adequately supplied. Make sure your family knows where you're at. If you're going to evacuate, please find somebody outside of the evacuation zone, as the county has mentioned. The evacuation centers are probably one of the safest places to stay, but they provide only essentials there. You might be more comfortable with family located outside the evacuation area. Family is what this is all about. That's the time to be together, to be supportive of each other. But then again, please make sure people know where you're evacuating to if you choose to leave.
And let's dig in a little bit with that, because obviously there are websites out there that are going to be far better than the village can supply about generally what you should do, what supplies you need, what to do, and potentially even who to call. But there are some specifics here in the village that we want to highlight. And you already have on your blog, and the village website is following suit. Let's talk about some special suggestions or things that Palmetto Bay residents should know about their home and what they can do. Let's start off with flood. Obviously, we just saw what's happened in Houston, and I don't think that we're going to have as much rain from this storm as that. But Mayor, talk to us about flood.
All right.
Looks like you got a website.
First of all, here on the Village Palmetto Bay website with our newly updated website, you'll find a lot of information here, and hopefully you've already taken the time to view that.
Oh, there's a new site, a new area of the site, right?
That is correct. Now from here you can directly access the latest public advisory from the National Hurricane Center. You can also follow, if you go to flood protection here, you can look at, we have in there flood zone designation, flood zone maps, know your flood zone information. We have information, and so Palmetto Bay, most of Palmetto Bay is evacuation zone A and B. We have a small section in the center part which is evacuation C. So know your zone, know what you're going to do, and when the time is declared as far as the evacuations, if you choose to evacuate, Do it safely and early. Don't wait till the winds start.
Yeah, and like you probably have already guessed, evacuation zone A would come first, and then B, and then finally C. But what the mayor is saying is a lot of Palmetto Bay are on those earlier evacuation zones, so pay attention as you watch TV, radio, or however you're going to get your information. And we did talk about potential evacuation, so where can people go? You had mentioned you might be more comfortable with
This
family.
is where you need to follow Miami-Dade County. They will notify what shelters are open. Again, if you have pets, please do not leave them behind. There are pet-friendly shelters, and you can find that list again from our village website. You can find that list again from the Miami-Dade County Office of Emergency Management website. If you have trouble finding these, go to my blog at eugeneflynn.com and you can find the list and click on the link to be taken there again. Again, that's not to replace the information, but that's to kind of put it together so you can follow from there and find the information you need, because knowledge is so important
Absolutely.
in how to properly prepare and weather out this storm.
Well, we're talking about evacuation, and hopefully we don't have to get too deep into that, but if we do, Mayor, we have a village that's filled with really, a lot of pets and loving families of those pets. What can you suggest people do to take care of their pets in times like this?
Well, again, follow the information on the county website on this. Don't leave them behind. It's going to be a very traumatic time for your pets. We don't want them roaming the streets. We don't want pets injured. We don't want people having to rush in to look for their pets after the storm clears. It's going to be a chaotic time for them too. It's going to be a chaotic time for your children if you leave a pet behind, or for a senior if you leave their pet behind, or me if I left my pet behind. I mean, pets are very important in here, and you want to look out for your pets.
For sure.
Bring them inside, make sure you have food for them, make sure you have water for them.
Well, it's been 25 years since we've had Hurricane Andrew, and of course we all remember what kind of effect that had. But one of the things I think we have on our side today, even though we're heading towards obviously a very difficult situation, is technology, and things have changed. Things like gas stations and grocery stores are mandated to have generators, so we shouldn't have nearly as much problems with gas and food aftermath, correct?
That is very correct. And I might add, I know a lot of people now are in line or waiting for the next water. I do have to speak on behalf of Miami-Dade County Water. I find it to be very fine water. You have containers, store your water from the tap, fill your bathtubs, fill your sinks. If somehow we lose water, many of us have pools that can be used for non-drinking uses, such as for the toilets or other needs like that.
Yeah.
But we all have containers, decanters, things that we can store water in, put them in the refrigerator, build up your ice, and your time might be better spent containerizing the water from your tap and preparing it to weather the next 3 days to shelter in place, than waiting in line for 5 or 6 hours and accumulating a lot of bottles that are going to need to be recycled later on.
Makes a lot of sense. But let's talk about technology again, because things have obviously progressed year after year. And one of the things that, Mayor, you reminded me of is that there are ways to get alerts besides television and radio, and people can prepare for that now so that they're getting the alerts. Tell us more about that, and personally getting stuff directly to their phones is what it really comes down to.
I signed up long ago for the Miami-Dade County alerts. It goes right to my smartphone when they declare the different emergencies and keeps us up to date. I strongly suggest that you go to again, you can find the link on my blog site for my updates that I posted on Tuesday, or Monday actually, I posted the updates.
Good.
Or you can just find it as prominently featured on the Miami-Dade County website. To go in there, click, enter your cell phone number, and then of course confirm that when it texts you that you want to confirm to be a member of that. But it reaches you. You get the alerts to where you are, and you don't have to worry about turning it on. But while we talk about this technology, remember one important item. It's a good time now to go through and make sure everything is fully charged.
Absolutely.
And everything's going to have extra use. I've gotten extra flashlights. I'm not waiting in line. I'm having them delivered to me via Amazon.
Good
I'm
suggestion.
expecting that coming in. But you have a lot of flashlights in your house. Anybody that's a cyclist One of my strongest flashlights is right on the handlebars of my road bike. So I'm making sure those are fully charged.
Well, let's wrap up a little bit here. Obviously, you can go out to numerous websites and figure out your preparation plans. You've just heard from the mayor, things that you can do that are more localized to here. Make sure you know what your evacuation zone is and have a plan on where you're going to go, either with family, which is probably preferable, or to one of the things that Miami-Dade County has available to you. But what again is the Village of Palmetto Bay as a government prepared to do after the storm? As we recover from whatever happens, I assume that the village has got their
contracts in place.
Good. That's what I want to know.
We have our emergency plans in place. The nice thing about some of those traffic circles is they don't rely upon electricity for signalization. When we clear the roads, those circles will be open. And again, any lights that are off, please treat them as a four-way stop. Not just for the first hour, but until power is restored. Courtesy is going to be the key. We're all in this together. We are prepared for the worst. We are hoping for the best. And I think together we're going to stay strong and we're going to come out of this in better prepared for even the next time. But again, we just need to make sure that you allow the roads to be cleared before you venture out on them. Get the all clear, monitor what's going on, check in on your neighbors, check in on your friends, let people know where you are. We're all in this together. It really does take a village. It's not hokum. That is what we've been very blessed with here in the village of Palmetto Bay. And if I remember correctly from Andrew, when people were going through their thawed delicacies in their freezer, it became a nice, I don't want to use the word tailgate, but there were some nice community gatherings out there. So we're all in this together, and I think we're very well prepared, judging from the cooperation we had in past such things as Hurricane Matthew, which was a brush by in years past. So let's be prepared.
Thank you, Mayor.
Stick together.
I appreciate your time. I know that he wanted to get this video out to you, and as it warrants, we may get back together to do a further video. So stay tuned to the Village website. You can go out and look at his blog. You can go out and look at my blog at miamihal.com. We hope that you stay safe. And anything else to finish up with, Mayor?
Hey, our phones are still here. We're still working. We're still answering the phones. Any questions you have, you've got 5 council members you can reach through one email at council@palmettobay-fl.gov. I think all of us have given our cell phones out. We're accessible. Just again, if you've got a construction site, if you're working on something, our building official comes by and tells you it's time to shut down for the storm. It is time to shut down. And I'm very pleased with how our residents respond, how they look out for each other. And again, that's our strength.
We'll be strong. Thank you again, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.